academic study of leadership has failed. That as of 10:30 this morning on Tuesday, academic psychology has nothing to say about the characteristics of effective leadership. It's failed for three reasons. It's failed because they define leadership incorrectly. It's failed because they never pay attention to the financial consequences of the person. They call it ROI, the ROI who's in charge, and they fail because they don't pay attention to the followers. Academics define leadership in terms of who's in charge. How do people get in charge? By surviving a political process. The political process inside each organization is inherently different, it's unique, it depends on the culture. So what it takes to get to the top of General Mills is different from what it takes to get to the top of General Electric, which is different from what it takes to get to the top of Ferrari, which is different from what it takes to get to the top of Prudential. So if you try to compare these guys, the only people at the top, try to compare them so you can make generalizations about effective leadership. The only thing you can say that these guys have in common is they survived a local political process. Okay, you want to understand leadership, you need to understand what it evolved, what was the problem that leadership evolved to solve. It's a purely functional position. Warfare was the principal factor driving human evolution. It's responsible for everything. It's where it's where engineering came from. You know, better defenses, better weapons. It's where medicine came from, trying to fix people with wounds. It's where finance came from. Where do we get the money to invade those guys? Every important characteristic of human culture was driven by warfare. What were the levels of violence in human prehistory? Consider the 20th century and the number of people who were killed in World War I, World War II, and those various civil wars in the 30s and 40s. The estimates are that the level of violence in human prehistory was 20 times the level of violence in the 20th century. So warfare was real, it was intense, it was earnest. And there's your group of guys are living in this valley, this part of the forest. These guys are living in this part of the forest. At some point, they think they like your part of the forest better, and then when they're going to come to get it. When they come to get it, they're not bringing their lawyers. They're not coming to negotiate. And if they're successful, they're going to kill you, and they're going to eat you. And that's the way it goes. And if they kill you and they eat you, you disappear from the gene pool. So severe selection pressure on characteristics. There's competition within the group for status. There's competition between the groups for survival. Leadership evolved as a resource for the group, not as a source of privilege for the incumbents. Leadership evolved as a resource for the group to aid it in its competition with other competitive groups where the competition was deadly. So leadership should be defined in terms of the ability to build and maintain a high-performing team, and leadership should be evaluated in terms of the performance of the team. Leadership ultimately then it's not about who's at the top. Leadership is about who can get this team moving again. And ultimately, leadership is in the eye of the follower. It's the followers who decide. Over a million years of human history, it was the followers who decided, okay, you can be in charge. It was the group looking at this guy and saying, yeah, I think this is what we need to survive the coming threat. But the real source of leadership is the followers, because they're the ones that are going to do the work. They're the ones that actually have to do. The leader just says, putting our points of direction. It's the troopies who have to actually consummate the activities of the group. What do troops want to see? What do followers want to see in potential leaders? They want to see four things. The first thing they want to see is, can we trust this guy? Is he going to betray us? Is he lying to us? Is he going to play favorites? Is he going to take special advantage of his position? Is he going to steal from the group? And they do, because when you're in charge, you have access to privileges that are denied other people. So can we trust this guy? So the first thing is integrity. That's the big one. The second thing the troops, the followers want to see is good judgment. And good judgment is normally distributed. Some people have really good judgment, and some people have terrible judgment, and it's uncorrelated with IQ. The third thing you want to say, do they know anything about the business you're in? Are they just pulling it out of their ass, or do they actually have deep experience in this business? Have they been in combat before? Do they know what they're talking about? That's just basic competence. You see organizations do that all the time. They put people in charge of something for which they have no fundamental understanding of the business. And it's always a disaster. Okay, so the fourth thing people want to see is vision. Do you have a sensible vision for the future? Does what we're doing here make sense? Does it make sense for us to get involved in this? Because people are inherently selfish. And to participate in a team, that means they have to behave unselfishly. Well, is it worthwhile? Can we justify behaving unselfishly for a while for the sake of the group? And that's what the vision thing is all about. It's justifying your participation in the group and behaving unselfishly for a bit.